May 25th, 2000 is the victory day of the national resistance liberating South Lebanon after 22 years of Israeli occupation. Syrian Arab army units continue to target armed terrorist groups in various areas. "25 killed and more than 230 wounded in the week-long clashes in Tripoli, North Lebanon." Good afternoon, this is News in English from the Syrian Arab Television in Damascus. May 25th, 2000 is the victory day of the national resistance and liberating South Lebanon after 22 years of Israeli occupation. The withdrawal of the Israeli occupation from South Lebanon on this day without negotiations or conditions was a shameful defeat for Israel. The Israeli occupation forces invaded South Lebanon in 1978 and expanded its occupation to the Lebanese lands till reaching Beirut in 1982. The resistance military operations have forced the Israeli army to retreat under the density of resistance heroic operations. One of the main factors that were behind achieving this great victory was Syria's unlimited support for the resistance. About 13 years after the humiliating defeat of the Israeli army, the image of the Middle East seems more complicated because of the pressure being imposed on resistance states with the aim of implementing new colonial projects in the region. But the resistance would continue unabated to foil all these sincere projects that aim to achieve Zionist interests. Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister for the Arab and African Affairs Hossein Amir Abdullahian said that Russia and China would participate in a meeting due in Tehran on May 29th on Syria under the title The Political Solution and Regional Stability. Abdullahian said in a statement to IRNA that the meeting is a step in the framework of realizing the political solution based on the halt of violence and conducting national dialogue in Syria. He added that his country sent invitations to several countries, including Turkey, Saudi Arabia and Qatar, which had different stances over the crisis in Syria. Information Minister Omran Zabi said the Arab League, with Syria's absence from it, is a failing institution that needs to reconsider its political and legal basics. Answering reporters' questions, Zabi added that there is no room for the Arab League in any national cause because it lacks wisdom and sobriety and has overstepped all nationalist principles. He added that the honest Arabs in the Arab League are counted on to put an end to the hegemony of political money and terrorism. The Information Minister affirmed that the Arab League's role in Syria is an acceptably destructive one, referring that any attempt to hinder the political solution under the pretext of pushing towards it is an exposed attempt. Azawi voiced distrust in some of the Arab League members, saying that those whom we do not trust cannot play any role neither now nor in the future, describing the attempts of some Arab regimes to look for a role to play in Syria as absurd and not possible, stressing that the Arab League must call off all its decisions against Syria and publicly apologize to the Syrian people and government, and only then we can consider it. He noted that Qatar, by providing funds to terrorists, has violated the international resolution of the United Nations Security Council number 1373 on combating terrorism. Austrian Foreign Minister Michael Spedlinger reiterated his country's rejection of lifting the embargo on arming the Syrian opposition. Spedlinger said that Austria is a firm opponent of any European suggestion to arm the Syrian opposition, especially the British suggestion of having the opposition armed by individual countries that wish to do so. In turn, Czech Foreign Minister Karl Schwarzenberg stressed that his country seeks a political and not a military solution to the crisis in Syria. Meanwhile, press spokesman of the Slovak Foreign Ministry, Boris Gandel, said that Slovakia would not support lifting the embargo and that it gives priority to peaceful solution through dialogue and talks. Moving on to our field developments, and in the framework of continuing military operation in al-Qasir, the armed forces eliminated terrorists and destroyed terrorist dens and a vehicle equipped with a heavy machine gun north of the local stadium. A military source said that a terrorist den was destroyed near the industrial school as other terrorist gatherings were targeted in the west and the south neighborhoods, where many terrorists were killed or wounded. The source added that a number of tunnels and checkpoints were destroyed, while the explosive devices planted by the terrorists on the main roads and near citizens' houses were dismantled. In al-Qasir countryside, an army unit eliminated several terrorists and confiscated weapons, cars, motorcycles and forged currencies during an attack against an armed terrorist group's hideout laying between al-Husayniya and al-Hamra. Meanwhile, an army unit clashed with an armed terrorist group near the salt factory on Homs-Damascus Road while it was trying to enter al-Qasir city to support the terrorists there. Most of the group's members were killed or wounded, and others were arrested. Moving to dalla, the Syrian army units continue chasing their armed terrorist groups in al-Ahrak town, eliminating a number of terrorists as the leader of a terrorist group and his assistant were identified among the dead. An official source confirmed that the news reported by the instigation channels about the control of the armed groups over the checkpoint near a sports club in dalla al-Balad are untrue, as the Syrian Arab Army units are deployed in most of the neighborhoods of dalla al-Balad and chasing the armed terrorist groups in al-Masri roundabout to the mosque of Bilal al-Habashi. Syrian Arab Army units continue cleaning the eastern Ghouta towns, starting from al-Taybe to al-Qasimiyya and al-Zamaniya, targeting terrorist groups belonging to what is called Jabhat al-Nusra. During a combating operation to the Syrian Arab army in al-Qasimiyya town, a number of explosive devices were prepared to be detonated, were found and defused. Extremist gunmen escalated attacks against Tripoli neighborhoods in northern Lebanon, especially in Mohsen Mountain, killing 3 people and wounding 20 others, bringing the death toll from the week-long clashes to 25, while more than 230 were wounded. Meanwhile, the Lebanese National News Agency said that 2 people were killed and several others wounded near Tripoli port. The agency added that Lebanese security forces chased gunmen's car in Tripoli, referring that cautious calm prevailed after the incident. With this, we reach the end of our news. More details on our website in English, www.syriaonline.sy. Stay with us after the break. The latest in economy and finance in our economic news.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. 72 agreements are signed between the Development Project Organization and the private sector companies, which will provide approximately 12,556 job opportunities. The manager of Legal and Administrative Affairs in the organization said that the program aims at changing the dominant business culture, motivating the youth to join the jobs offered by the private sector, training people searching for jobs and lifting their technical and professional abilities according to the labor market's needs. The general establishment for cereal industry in Aleppo is about to be ready for the season for receiving cereals from farmers, starting with the time of the harvest season. The manager of Aleppo branch estimated this season's production with about 800,000 tons of hard, soft, grained and irrigated wheat, pointing out that 4 centers in the governorate and 15 other centers in the countryside are about to be prepared for wheat reservation after being fully equipped, noting that the period of receiving wheat starts at the beginning of the harvest season until the 31st of August. Oil ended its weekly dealings high after news said that the gasoline's production unit has closed as investors vote to cover the sale points before the end of a long weekend in the US. US shares registered their first weekly decline since the middle of April, amid continuing fears about the possibility of reducing the US Central Bank its program of stimulating the economy. Moreover, the European shares retreated, led by the financial services shares, which were affected by fears concerning growth in Asia. On the other hand, the Nikkei index rose, although most investors refrained from buying due to the great fluctuations. Gold prices slightly declined. However, gold registered its biggest weekly increase in a month, supported by the retreating shares markets and the US dollar fall, whereas gold dropped $5.2 an ounce in the US futures for next April delivery. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. This was our economic bulletin for today. Bye-bye.